Hi there, my name is Padma from Llibertat. Today I would like to talk to you briefly about Kanban, the principles of Kanban. Kanban came out of the Toyota factory in the 80s, and it's a way of getting things from not done to done as efficiently as possible. And it works really well in content design projects, works really well in kind of agile digital projects in general. So I just want to talk about the principles of that today. There are a few as follows. Firstly, you want to make your workflow conscious. Secondly, you want to make your workflow visible. Thirdly, you want to focus on the flow part of workflow. Fourthly, limit work in progress. And fifthly, iterate the process. So I'll just go through that in a little bit more detail. So firstly, you want to make the workflow conscious. So we've all got a workflow. When you're doing a thing, it starts with not being done and it gets to done. And during that, there is a process of getting from not done to done. And Kanban says you want to make that conscious and you want to understand what are the different stages to it and design those stages. So be conscious about them. Secondly, you want to make the workflow visible. So once it's conscious and you know what the different stages are, you want to visualize that in some way. Quite often in kind of, if you go into offices where Agile's being used, you'll have these Kanban walls everywhere where there are all these columns on the wall, and there are lots of post-it notes in these different columns, and they're going from the left to the right, from not done to done, and you can see each stage of the workflow. As we move to working more remotely, people use things like Trello. There are a bunch of things to do that online. So creating columns from not done to done that kind of articulate your workflow. So that allows you to see in a very quick amount of time where the entire project's at. Thirdly, you need to focus on the flow. What tends to happen in projects is you start a task, you get a certain way through completing that task, and something will block it. So being a kind of diligent worker, you start a new thing and you get a certain way through and something will happen to block it, and so you leave it there, and then you start something else, and before you know it, you've got 15 things in progress, nothing's finished, and you've forgotten where you're at with each of these different things. So it's really inefficient and nothing gets delivered. So by focusing on the flow, the first priority in when you're working in a Kanban way, the first priority is to unblock anything that's blocked. So rather than starting a new thing, you focus on unblocking the thing that's blocked. So this ties in with the next principle, which is limit work in progress. So as I just said, if you end up with 15 things in progress and you don't know where you are with any of them, it's a really inefficient way of going about things. So by consciously limiting work in progress, you force that unblocking the blocked items and keeping that flow going. And then finally, iterate the process. So anybody in the team can think of a better way of doing something and raise it with the team, and you modify the way that you do what you do so it gets more and more efficient over time. And that sort of ties in with this idea of evolution, not revolution. So purely on the basis of efficiency. So revolution tends to create resistance, which is inefficient. So if we start with where we're at and we take things a bit at a time, then we can smoothly move into more and more efficient ways of working. So we've found that a really useful way of mapping workflow in content design projects. So for instance, you've got not done to first draft to internal review, out for fact check, back from fact check, second draft, final review, published, for instance. So hope that's helpful. Thank you.